All right, how does having a hysterectomy impact my hormones? This depends on the type of hysterectomy that you have. I am Dr. Beth Westie, women's health and hormone expert, author of the books The Female Fat Solution and The Female Menopause Solution. Yes, which these are on Amazon. I talk all about how to eat for your hormones in your cycle. And this brings up a great question a lot of the time when people ask, oh my gosh, I had a hysterectomy. How does that really impact my hormones? How am I going to, do I still have to worry about how to eat for my cycle if I had a hysterectomy? What does that mean for me, etc.? And it depends on the type of hysterectomy that you had. So hysterectomies are performed for many reasons. In fact, I actually, I had a call today, two different phone calls today with gals, and both of them had hysterectomy. I had a lot of phone calls today, but two of them were with gals that have had hysterectomies for very different reasons. One, she had a hysterectomy because she had gotten genetic testing, things like that. So she was worried about some estrogen dominance issues, cancerous things. And so she had her, a surgery just to prevent some, so she doesn't have to, she can have peace of mind. Another gal, she had bleeding, excessive bleeding for 7 months. Like, she didn't stop having a period for 7 months, and they tried some different medications and other things. Nothing worked, and they just took her uterus. That's how they solved it, right? So when we talk about this, these can have different impacts on your health, on your hormones, depending on what's going on. So we'll start with a couple of basic things in relationship to hormones. Now, the thing to keep in mind here is that your actual uterus is not an endocrine organ. It is a reproductive organ, but not an endocrine organ, right? Where your ovaries are part of your reproductive system. They're a reproductive organ as well as endocrine. So that's the difference. So with a partial, you are having just the uterus removed, right? Just the uterus. So you still keep typically your ovaries and fallopian tubes and things like that. So you still, and your ovaries are the primary producers of estrogens, progesterones, things like that, the female hormones. So with that partial, you still have that. With they call it a radical. I'm just gonna, a radical, a complete, right? That's the ovaries and uterus. Ovaries and uterus there. So it is all the things, right? The entire package. You still, will keep your actual vagina and labia and things like that. Am I gonna get in trouble for saying that on social media? I hope not. I can say uterus, right? That's okay. Okay. Side note. But when we talk about a hysterectomy and the impact on your hormones, it does depend, right? If you just have a partial and you just had your uterus removed, technically those ovaries are still there, so they would still be producing the hormones like they did before. If you have a complete, like this radical, then your ovaries are removed and the uterus. So that you get thrown into menopause overnight. Overnight. Yeah. So this can have a huge impact. This one here. Right? Menopause. Like right away. This can be a really tough thing. Now the other thing about the partial, when you're just removing the uterus, which is what a lot of women have done, and they have it done again for issues like, I had, like there was a gal I chatted with, this was a little bit ago, several months ago. She had really bad bleeding, really, really bad. They did an ablation, did not work for her, and then they just did the partial hysterectomy. So removed her uterus. And then from there, she was like, okay, well, why am I still having these hormone issues? Why am I still having hot flashes? Why am I having these hormone issues? And it's because we have to look at why the uterus was having an issue in the first place, right? When we look at a hysterectomy, a lot of times you're thinking, I'm just removing the uterus, so that's where the problem is. I'll take it out and then things will be better. Well, you can't have the heavy bleeding then. But what caused the heavy bleeding? What caused the problem here? Hormones. Hormones. So if you don't look at the hormones and you don't look at what was going on there, you can't improve it. So this is why I love Dutch testing, and doing Dutch testing is so helpful. This is page 3 of the Dutch report that we get when we look at your hormone levels. And this box here shows estrogens. Now this just looks like a bunch of, arrows and dials and everything. But when we look at this and see things that are really imbalanced, I can actually see how your body is processing these hormones even if you've had a hysterectomy. That tells me everything. Why is this so important? Because liver processes majority of your hormones. And if liver is not processing it to lead to the problem in the first place, like the heavy bleeding or whatever, then even though you get your uterus taken out so you don't have that heavy bleeding, you still have hormonal issues going on because your body is not processing things correctly, right? I can't tell you how many gals that I chat with that they're like, yeah, I had a hysterectomy, so I don't have that pain anymore. I don't have that bleeding anymore. That main issue is gone, but now I have this weight gain. Now I still have this fatigue. I have sleep issues. Or, this one gal, she was in her early 40s and she had her uterus removed. And then, in her early mid 50s, she starts going through menopause naturally because she'd still had her ovaries. And she was having the worst time and was shocked because she thought that because she had a hysterectomy, she wasn't going to have a problem with menopause. She was like, I had a hysterectomy, so it should be fine. I should be good. It was not good. It was not good. Things were severely unbalanced for her. And it took several months for us to really work on detoxing, or, they call it the phases of estrogen metabolism, right? It's how your body processes estrogen out of your system. And it took several months. It was a big project to go through. But she noticed, like, the more we worked on it, the more we detoxed it, the better she got. The more she noticed things improve. Hot flashes, night sweats, the fatigue, the disrupted sleep, her feeling like she had just this brain fog all the time. Just like, things are right there, but it feels dull. She's like, I used to be sharp. I used to be have such a good memory, and now it's not like that at all anymore. And I was like, yeah, it's not because you did anything. Sorry, I have an eyelash that is just bothering the heck out of me right now. Okay, now I can see. So that is the big thing there, is that think about if you had issues and then had a hysterectomy and you still have your ovaries, there still can be some issues with your hormones. Yes. And so it's really important that we're looking at what's going on. This is why I do Dutch testing. This is why we do other in-depth testing. So if you have not looked at how to work with me more in a one-on-one setting, go in the comments. You can click on the link. If you have other questions on this, go in the comments and leave me a question. I do check questions. I do answer questions. If you're not comfortable leaving me a question, send me an email. Send me a message. Because working on these things are so vitally important for you to help your body function better so you feel better. When you don't feel good, when things are off, it's because your body's not functioning well. So there's that. So I've talked a lot about, the uterus, and you still have your ovaries and the hormonal impact there. So you might be thinking, well, what if you had this one and you had your ovaries and uterus removed and you're thrown into menopause overnight? How does that impact your hormone? It is a rough go of it, right? A rough go of it. So, yes. So I still advocate for helping your body process hormones better. Again, Dutch testing, even if you're in menopause, can show us a ton, even if you've had a hysterectomy, can show us a ton about what's going on in your body and in your system that can help us get to the bottom of what's happening so we can target it specifically. Now, I do have other resources for you, of course, my YouTube channel, which is called Dr. Beth Westie. You can subscribe to stay updated on all the videos I have coming out. I also have my tinctures. And you might be thinking, well, if I've had a hysterectomy, can I still take tinctures for estro balance and progesterone balance? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I encourage it. I absolutely encourage it. I also have my Metabo Boost and Adrenal Balance. These are fantastic for your adrenals and overall metabolism. And then, brand new, hot off the presses, detox supplement. This has specific things that actually target processing estrogens and hormones through your system better. Yay! So I'm very excited about this one. How do the kids do it on the... Oh, there you go, right? How do the kids do show their products. I see like people who do makeup online, they're like, I don't know why they do that. Somebody can comment and tell me why they do that. Yes. Yeah. All right. So that's what I got for you guys today. Let me know if you have any other questions or need any other help. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in.